I am delighted to welcome somebody who I'm going to have a chat with right now about communication, and he's been voted the #1 internet marketer for the last however many years. How many years has it been now?
37.
37. Wow, that's an achievement, Chris.
It's amazing, isn't it?
37 years
before the internet was created. I'd probably get voted the #1, so they gave me the accolade before the internet was even around. I find that amazing.
And then they launched the internet, and lo and behold, you've kept that title. Congratulations on that! Wow.
Thank you so much.
I wanted to talk to you because, I mean, to me, you're the king of internet marketing, and I wanted to really find out from you where you think the communication skills tie in terms of what you do with internet marketing.
Well, when you asked me to jump on this quick call, I was thrilled that you did, because, and I'm not just saying this to say the right thing, but communication is the most important aspect of any successful business, on or indeed offline. Because think about in life, think about how we get to know, like, and trust anybody in life. We talk to them, we listen to them, we communicate with them. That's how the relationship begins. And this is essentially why, since the dawn of time, it's why we drew cave drawings on the side of caves. It's why we told stories around campfires. It's because people, at the end of the day, like and buy from people. And it's fascinating how many businesses, I feel, forget that. What most businesses do, particularly online, is they treat those that either become customers or sign up for free to their list, they treat them as anonymous, faceless email addresses. And they tend to forget that there's a real person behind that email address, a real person just like me and you and everyone watching, with hopes and dreams and fears and aspirations, just like we all have. And it's amazing, Paul, I find, is when we communicate, therefore, to these email addresses, but remembering that they're a real person, that communication that we have completely changes. And here's the thing, it's not difficult to do. It's essentially, really, it's all about just being a decent person. It goes back to, if you like, biblical times, treat people as you want to be treated. I know that sounds like a little bit of a cliche to say, but if you apply that in your marketing and in your business, two things happen. Well, firstly, not many people do. They say they will, because it's a nice buzzword, but they won't actually do it. And secondly, you never get that second chance to make a first impression. Once you made that good first impression, then when people think, do you know what, this Paul, he's actually okay. He hasn't tried to sell to me straight away. He's really delivered some value in the subject matter that I'm interested in. Once you've got that first impression, then things are so much easier down the line to eventually make a sale, make a recommendation, because if you are good to your list time for you to recommend a product will be good to you back. I'm probably talking a little bit too much now. You probably tell them. Not at all.
This is exactly what I wanted to hear. That's perfect. I mean, do you think...
You are right. It is. Communication is the most important aspect, I believe, in any successful business. And most people don't do it that well.
But with business, obviously, the end result, generally speaking, is to get a sale. Do you think there's any sort of conflict in terms of, if you were to write a killer headline, for example, if you were emailing your list and you've got to somehow get a message across quickly, is there still a way to do that but also still be personable and to be warm and and nurture people through it?
Absolutely. And it's funny, I don't know if it's an English thing, because this is something I struggle with hugely, this exact thing, the actual struggle of making the sale. And here's the thing, something I learned is that people like to buy. A lot of people make the mistake thinking, oh, hang on. No, people do like to buy. What they don't like is they don't like to be sold to. And there's a big difference between the two. We all like to buy new stuff. We just do. That's kind of a human characteristic. We like to buy new stuff. What we don't like is being felt as if we're being bullied or emotionally kind of cajoled into purchasing. So therefore, again, it comes back to what we spoke about earlier. If we create that relationship firstly, and then we come to recommend a product that those on our list would benefit from, as long as they really would benefit from them, you will find, if you've created that relationship first off, that sales will generate. This is exactly how I made my first $1,000 days, doing exactly this. I delivered a lot of value for free online on a particular subject matter. It was actually about creating websites. And then I created a video course showing exactly how to do the same in videos, and I just recommended it to my lists. Now, interestingly, they'd already consumed the information for free, yet a lot still purchased because I nurtured that relationship first. So short story short, yes, absolutely. There still are ways of selling ethically and not annoying your list, but only if you build value and create that relationship with your list firstly.
So value and free content is a nice way to begin with, to build and to gain the trust that you can then move on to sell, hopefully.
Yeah, there's a thing called the KLT formula, which stands for the know, like, and trust formula. And essentially what this is, to reverse engineer it, people will only purchase from you. And think about why we buy things. We tend to, I'm generalizing a little bit, of course, there's always exceptions to every rule in life, but generally we tend to buy anything from brands, companies that we trust. And probably, even to the extent of, I don't know, gas or petrol, you probably even have a favourite petrol station or gas station. I know that I do. It's all the same, but there's something about that, whether it's the cashier or just an experience you had previously that just makes you want to go to that, in this case, particular gas station. So they built trust with me, which makes me go back there. How did they build the trust? They built the trust by getting me to like whatever their company or their brand is. And how do we like somebody? We only like them by getting to know them first. That's what the KLT stands for, know, like, and trust. So my point being is, if you can get those people on your list, or prospects as they're known, to know you firstly, that's where it all starts. A very common question I get asked is something along the lines of, let's use an imaginary woman, let's call her Anne, who's 55 and she's a chiropractor. And she will say to me, Chris, I'm Anne, I'm 55, I'm divorced, I'm a mum of 3. Why would anybody be even interested in me or me creating a web business? And my answer is always the same. My answer is, because you are Anne, because you are 55, because you're divorced and you're a mum of 3, suddenly you're this real 3-dimensional person that companies can't do. Companies can't have that relationship. That's why the marketing playing field is level. We may never have the deep pockets that the Microsofts and the Apples of the world will have. What we can have is this, exactly what you're doing, that personal connection, that personal communication. And now in the social media world that we live, this is where everything is going. So therefore, if you're prepared to expose a little bit of heart and soul, it takes a bit of courage at first to kind of put yourself out there, build that relationship, allow people to get to know you. They will then get to like you. They'll then get to trust you, and they will then get to buy from you.
So, as you mentioned there, it is a little bit more difficult for a bigger company to create that personable one-on-one, to gain the trust in a funny kind of way. But have you seen, are there any examples of businesses that you think do this incredibly well with their communication?
Gosh, well, there's many. Apple straight away leaps out at me at just being very personable, very, very real. There's certain websites I've subscribed to that just, I think, communicate very effectively. There's a site called Mashable.com that every time I hear from them, they're just very, very personable and real. There's also a flip side of this, though. The big companies now, us little people, we have a voice, which is an amazing place to be. There's a marketer called Gary Vaynerchuk, and he's the guy behind WineLibrary.tv, I think it is, or .com. He's also a very successful online marketer. And he said a great story about 15 years ago when he was in his 20s working in his wine store. A customer came in and complained about something, and the guy behind the counter goes, well, sorry, mate, hard luck. And Gary remembers thinking, that's foolish, because that guy's never going to come back again. And of course, that's absolutely true. The guy never came back again. But 15 years ago, that's all the guy could do. He'd tell a few of his friends, that's it. Now what we can do is we've got a whole wide world. And that's why customer service, which used to be at number 14 or 15 in people's priorities, now has to be number 1. There's countless stories. Just to flip your observation a moment ago, Paul, companies such as, I don't want to, well, this is a fact, so I'm not saying anything libelous, but United, for example, United Airlines. Very quick story. There was a band, I can't remember the name of the band now, who were flying United, and they saw the luggage handlers throwing their guitar cases into the luggage hold, and they were sitting on the plane thinking, oh man, there go our guitars, I hope they're okay. And then they had to fly with that awful feeling thinking, I hope our guitars are okay. They landed, went to the baggage carousel, got the guitars, and they were broken. And they complained, they go, mate, nothing we can do. Typical kind of customer service was at number 14. Well, there is something now that people can do, because what happened in this case was this band made a song, put it on YouTube, called United Break Guitars.
Wow.
So it got something like 15 million views. It began to affect the share price of United. United, their CEO, their board got involved, asked the guys, okay, we apologise, please can you take the song down. There's many examples of now us little people having to say, everything's been inverted. No, everything is transparent now. You can't hide online. So that's why, again, going back to the know, like, and trust, if you start any business now with that KLT formula, getting people to know, like, and trust you, if you do that well, you will end up doing well. Okay,
and apart from breaking guitars, what do you think would be the What are the common mistakes, whether it's a big business, one person, a small business? What are the common communication mistakes that people are still making, do you think?
Great question. I think one that leaps to mind straight away is people, and often I don't think they realise they're doing this. Not that I'm trying to defend this action, but they do not communicate to somebody. They'll speak at somebody. And I'm sure you remember this from working on the radio. We were always taught, speak to somebody, don't speak at somebody.
Yeah.
It's amazing how in marketing and in communication, a lot of people will speak at somebody. Even on a webinar, you might jump on a webinar. And you can tell from somebody's tonality and their inflection within 5 seconds whether you are even going to enjoy this presentation. So a big mistake is not speaking to somebody. This is, again, a bit of a cliche, but when I make videos, when I do any sort of presentation, I really do picture one person I want to speak to. I spoke recently at an event in London, and I pictured in the audience one person, my kind of perfect avatar, if you like, of who my perfect client would be, and I spoke to that person as if I was having coffee with them. I just happened to be on stage in front of, a few hundred people. So to answer your question, the mistake I feel that many companies make is they don't communicate on this one-to-one level. You can still speak to thousands of people, but having it in a personal communication. And a good tip is go through your copy. By that I mean the words on your website, in your video, in your emails. And if you have more of the word I than the word you, then you're in trouble. Try and use the word you as much as possible. Try and ask questions. Try and listen. We have 2 ears and 1 mouth. It's like being at a party again. We all avoid those people at parties that are incessantly talking about themselves all the time. But we enjoy people's company where they ask us about us and they engage and communicate with us. So try and replicate that in your marketing. And again, it's not difficult, but not many people do it.
Well, as you say, that's something that we're taught. That's, from the very early days of radio, that's something that's really sort of embedded into us. And I think you're absolutely right with that, 100%. I also think, and I don't know if you agree, but once you get into that mindset, it's actually almost impossible to revert back. As soon as you start getting into that mindset of you're talking to one person, it then starts to stem through everything you do, I think.
And it's really, when that happens, it's an amazing feeling because you find yourself using the word you, for example, more in conversation. You find yourself asking more questions. A great law of copywriting, great law of communicating is ask as many questions as you can. And you'll find that what you're writing and what you're saying just feels more effortless for somebody to consume. So I could talk to you about this for hours. I love all these copywriting like tricks and tips and techniques.
So do you think, the communication has clearly been a massive part of your success in internet marketing?
I would. Somebody pointed out after a few years, he said I was quite lucky, if lucky is the right word, that I had a radio background. And, maybe I was. And that's just how it is. It is what it is. And same as yourself. In radio, we are taught to listen and to communicate. But I would say the ability to get on with people in life, forget an internet business, just in life is probably the most important skill that any of us can master. If you can do that, you're going to have a stress-free life, you're going to have a happy life, you're going to have a successful life. And if you can duplicate that online, which you can easily do by communicating effectively, then you'll have a successful and a profitable and an exciting business.
Chris, thank you very much indeed. It's been amazing
It's been super nice to spend these few moments with you again. Last time I saw out here to Los Angeles.
Oh, it was, wasn't it, actually?
About 3 years ago or so.
Yeah, it was.
Let's do that again soon.
Oh, I'd love to. And how are the dogs?
They're all 79 of them are great. Thank you. We've got 4 dogs. I love dogs, love animals. So they're good. Thank you for asking.
Good. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure, as I knew it would be, and hopefully catch up with you again very soon.
Paul, my pleasure. Nice to speak to everyone. Thank you for your time.